Hey guys, here in a nutshell with me, Ina. Nako, 2 linggo na lang. As in exactly 2 days from the time I'm recording this, ay ilalabas na po ng gobyerno ng Canada ang bago nitong immigration level plans. Okay, mangyayari po yan sa November 1. So ano bang aasahin natin sa araw na yan? There will be a big press conference by immigration officials at doon i-announce po nila ang kanilang mga target sa una sa lahat, bilang ng mga permanent residents na tatanggapin nila from 2025 to 2027. Okay? Huli pong ginawa ang ganitong klaseng press conference o announcement, I think sometime 2023, kung saan in-announce po nila doon yung immigration targets nila from 2024 to 2026. So, titignan po natin sa November 1 kung magkakaroon ng adjustments dun sa earlier announced numbers for the years 2025 and 2026. Dadagdagan lang din po ng isang taon to 2027. And also, another big difference in this year's announcement, hindi po tulad ng dati, or rather, first time mangyayari, na doon po sa kanilang immigration plan, i-announce din po nila ang kanilang targets for temporary residents. I understand. Nung dati po, hindi po nila masyado ini-include yan sa kanilang mga immigration plan levels. So, it just gives you a sense of how important or how big of a concern itong issue ng immigration is sa kasalukuyan. Oo, no? So again, 2 weeks na lang. Alamin nga natin ang sentimiento ng mga Canadians tungkol dito sa issue na to. Because I noticed over the past 2 days, I've been reading some articles. Ang daming iba't ibang surveys na nagsilabasan talking about this specific issue. Okay, basically asking Canadians if you support an increase, gusto niyo bang dumami yung bilang ng mga immigrants na tanggapin pa ng bansa, or palagay niyo masyado ng marami, bawasan, etc. So again, no, 3 articles na basa ko, at nakalaan nyo 3 different surveys din ang kanilang sinasite, ano. But all results are practically showing the same thing. That there has been an increase in the number of Canadians who feel na masyado na pong maraming immigrants ang tinanggap o pinapasok dito sa Canada. Okay? I'll just pick one. Okay, iba-iba ng slightly yung numbers nila, but again, generally, pareho po ang kanilang mensahe. Isa pang pagkakaiba, no? Nagkaroon na rin po kasi ako ng episode dati, diba? Talking about the similar survey, showing how there seems to be an increasing number of Canadians who feel na masyado na pong marami mga immigrants ang tinatanggap dito. Pero so there's an updated survey. Doon naman po, pinapakita lang na talagang dumadami na ngayon. And more notably, for the first time, according to one survey, clear majority na raw po ng Canadians ang nagsasabing masyado ng maraming immigrants. Okay, let me show you that survey. Hindi pala first time, but for the first time in 25 years. Clear majority of Canadians now say there's too much immigration. Okay? For the first time in a quarter century, 25 years, a clear majority of Canadians believe the country has accepted too many immigrants. Okay? 58% daw po ang nagsasabing there's too many. Tumaas yan ng 44% from 2023 at 27% noong 2022. So, ayun may kumbaga increasing trend over the past couple of years. And this year, clear majority na nga, almost 60%. Okay, ito yung mga dahilan ng mga nagsasabing there are too many immigrants. Sabi ng article that those who said there are too many immigrants were most likely to raise concerns over the lack of housing availability and affordability, the state of the economy, overpopulation, and the potential strain on public resources. Okay? The percentages of people blaming too much immigration on poor management by government has shot up, tumaas, from 10% in 2023 to 21% this year. Aba, halos dumoble. Okay, ang mga nagsasabing o sinisisi yung gobyerno, poor management by the government, dito sa, kumbaga, immigration crisis ngayon dito sa Canada. So again, these are sentiments of Canadians a couple of weeks before the government is set to announce yung bago po nilang immigration targets. Why is it significant? It's because, syempre, ang mga decision makers ng gobyerno will always also factor in itong mga sentimiento ng kanilang constituents. Diba? So, kumbaga, kung a clear majority of Canadians feel that there are too many immigrants, then I guess it's safe to assume na yun din po ang magiging direksyon ng announcement sa November 1 na siguro hindi na po nila dadagdagan. I guess that's a safe assumption. Actually, hindi na siya rin, educated guess lang. Because a few weeks ago, naghint na rin naman po si Immigration Minister Mark Miller tungkol dyan. Specifically rin sa bilang ng mga permanent residents. Sabi niya, there will be significant changes dito pa sa tatanggapin po nilang permanent residents. Meron pa siyang term, it will not be cosmetic. Yan ang sabi niya. Ibig sabihin, parang hindi lang ito pampapogi, pampapogi dahil nga dito sa mga sentimiento ng mga Canadians. I will share with you a soundbite from Immigration Minister Miller. This is from CTV News. Immigration Minister says upcoming changes to permanent resident levels not cosmetic but significant. So ang current target po kasi ng Canada is 500,000 PRs na tatanggapin po sa 2024. 2025. And then 500,000 again in 2026. Okay, so abangan natin kung ano ba yan, biglang babawasan ba? Or magkakaroon naman ng adjustments kung anong pathway to PR siguro ang kanilang ipaprioritize. Pero ito ang sagot ni Miller dyan when he was asked about this a few weeks ago.
Can you expand on what kind of things your government is considering? Are you considering, very bluntly, a reduction in permanent immigration?
Well, we're looking at a number of options. When I paused the levels last year, it was with an undertaking to talk to Canadians and see what those levels look like or should be. There has been significant growth, I think for good reason, in the last few years. That economic growth, again, has been indispensable in making sure that the gross domestic product of the country has grown, that the entrance into the workforce, all driven by immigration, was assured. But now it's time to take a look at them and put real options on the table for the Prime Minister and for other cabinet ministers to look at, and not cosmetic changes simply to deal with public opinion. Real significant change to make sure that we have an immigration.
What does that mean? What does significant
you'll see
change
when we announce the levels. It's not something I would announce publicly, particularly without having had that discussed in cabinet. It has not had the full, robust cabinet discussion that is due to it. And I expect to hear from my cabinet colleagues who are sometimes of different positions and views as to what the immigration levels of the country look like. So when I say all options are on the table, there will be considerations about whether we reduce, what type of immigration that we are supporting. 60% of our immigration is economically driven. That is probably unprecedented with countries that we compare ourselves to. But we have to see if we've done this in the right way. And if that...
Okay, ayun, medyo napahaba na, no? Pero sabi nga niya, it won't be cosmetic just to please the people. Sabi niya, it will be significant. At ito, sa last part ng soundbite niya, sabi niya, no, they are currently studying yung iba't ibang uri ng immigration na sinusuportahan nila. He said 60% na kanilang mga tinatanggap na immigrants ay economic immigrants. So, ayun, no, abangan na lang natin kung ano yung magiging announcement na yan. Again, November 1 po yan. So, ayun, what does that mean? Okay, kunyari magta-tighten. Clearly, no? Clearly, guys. Mukhang magbabawas doon sa, or at the very least, rather, maghihigpit talaga lalo sa bilang ng mga PRs na kanilang tatanggapin at uri ng mga PRs na kanilang i-approve. So what does this mean? Nako, ngayon pa lang, alam niyo naman, ang dami na pong nagreklamo na ang hirap ma-PR. Ang hirap na PR in the sense, halimbawa sa extras entry, pataas ng pataas daw yung scoring system, no? Yung mga scores required para ikaw ay ma-qualify. So kung ngayon ay tumataas yung level ng qualification, paano pa kung sasabayan yan ng pagbabawa sa bilang ng mga tatanggapin? Diba? So you can just imagine that situation in the coming years. Talagang kumbaga survival of the fittest ang mangyayari, ano? Well, yun naman talagang gusto din ng mga tao dito, I believe, is that, tumanggap ng mga immigrants na talagang may significant contribution. Yung talagang skilled people who would have a greater impact sa kanilang labor force at sa economy. Marami po kasing halimbawa nagko-complain, bakit pa kailangan mag-hire ng mga foreign workers para magtrabaho, let's say, in mga food service industries. Yan po ang complaints ng marami po dito. So yun, abangan natin yan, November 1. And of course, I don't know if you also watched my previous episodes. Meron ding bagong interview itong si Mark Miller talking about how they are also dealing with immigrants who are already here, being strict on them, making sure that those who are here, those who are here are in compliance sa kanilang mga kondisyon ng kanilang kung anumang work permit ang meron sila. Yung episode ko na yun, I talked about mga raids na ginaganap, back then, I said, parang wala pa ako nakikita masyadong report sa mainstream media confirming ito mga raids na ginagawa by the border agents. Pero, nung nabasa ko itong isang bagong article ng ayan, this is an opinion piece from Toronto Star. For subscribers lang to, no? Okay. Meron silang interview again with Mark Miller. At dito parang kinonfirm niya na meron silang mga mas matinding inspections na ginagawa ngayon. Ayan, I searched the keyword inspection. Sabi niya, sabi nung reporter, is there a possibility of a ramped up inspection regimen? Okay, sabi niya ni Mark Miller, yes, that work is underway. Ang follow-up naman ng reporter ay, meron po kasing mga criticism na yung mga workplace inspections daw, ina-announce in advance. Which means, sabi dito, abuse of temporary foreign workers can be hidden. Okay, na itatago, na paghahandaan In the future, might you move forward toward unannounced inspections? Ang sagot ni Mark Miller, I can't speak to the specifics, but our work is ongoing. To me, ang ibig sabihin po niyan, ayun na nga, ongoing. Ang surprise inspections, aka, to me, yung mga bigla ang pinapasok siguro nga yung mga workplace to check kumbaga if the employers are hiring people who are not supposed to be working, maybe mga naka-tourist visa, or maybe mga students na working beyond allowable hours. So ayun, parang kinonfirm niya rin dito. Tapos meron din dito, talagang all angles ang tinitignan ngayon ng Canada, pati yung pag-deny ng entry sa mga border points na, I also had an episode about this. Tingnan mo to. Sabi nung reporter, Reuters recently reported that Canada has been scrutinizing international travelers more carefully. Ito, ang sabi nila, na nung June, ayun na nga, we deemed more visa holders inadmissible than we have since COVID. Diba? Mga visa holders na naging inadmissible pagdating sa point of entry. So sabi pa ng reporter, last July, we turned back more people at ports of entry than at any point since 2019. Tinanong, ito bang mga nangyayaring ito ay nangyayari in response to directives from your office? Inutos mo ba itong mga to, in short? Ang sabi ni Mark Miller, the short answer is yes. Sabi niya, I don't take any pleasure in denying visas, but this is something that had to be done. Sabi niya, going into the summer, I looked at the data and I was getting from my department and realized that the system needed an injection of discipline. Diba? O hiningan siya. Anong example? Ang minention niya nga dito, yung mga nanggagaling daw from India. We saw a significant influx of people coming in from India and Bangladesh pala. And it was something we had to act on. We also had to look at the quality of applicants that were coming before the Immigration and Refugee Board. Diba? Yung mga nagsisik ng asylum. At ang sabi dito, when you see a number of rejections coming from one country that is different in scale from other countries, you realize something is amiss. Okay, so now speaking of Indians, merong viral clip na naman ako nakita sa X. Let me show you. Wherein itong nagsasalita is posing the question of sa mga gustong pauwiin, ipa-deport ang maraming mga immigrants. Ang specifically tinatanong niya, yung mga Indians, kung mapauwi ang mga Indians, palagay nyo ba ay mareresolve o masosolve yung mga problemang hinaharap ng Canada tulad ng housing, yung problema sa healthcare, yun yung nire-raise niyang point dito. Sige, I will share that with you.
I can't wait till all those Indians go back home, because then all you Canadians will actually have no one left to blame. Because then you'll realize that all these things that you're actually blaming these students for, lack of housing, lack of jobs, cost of living, inflation, you having no sex life, actually wasn't their fault at all. It actually was the fault of a federal government who literally continues to favor billionaire corporations and doesn't make them pay their fair share. It actually was the fault of people like Doe Ford bleeding out the healthcare system, continuing to prop up their developer buddies without building affordable housing, of government programs that colleges and governments and shady recruiters all took advantage of, and that the vast majority of these kids were just hard-working students who were actually propping up our economy, working their asses off, and getting treated like absolute shit in some of the most disgusting racism I have ever seen, stoked by far-right online hate groups, and that this country is actually going to be worse off for the way we have treated them and for making this place so inhospitable for so many of them. But if you actually...
Okay, o diba? What do you think about that? I think he also has a point. He also has a point. Hindi naman makakapunta yung mga immigrants dito if there wasn't a system that allowed them to come in that, you know, that big of a number. Ayun na, no? Let me know what you guys think about that. Yun lang naman. I will end this episode here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!